Hello, everyone. This is Misfit, and I'm your host today for this new episode of Facing Issues, a podcast about the art and science of music production. Today, I'm joined by CJ, aka Something Something. Round of applause. Yo, yo. Thank you for joining me, dude. Hope you're
Of
having a great
course.
day. Nice.
Yes.
You're based in LA, right? South California?
Yeah, about an hour south of LA in this little kind of surf community called San Clemente. It's actually where I
Oh,
grew up,
nice.
so it was nice being pretty close to LA.
Yeah.
So yeah, not too
Because I
far.
remember I remember last year I met you in LA. I think it was like Hollywood, right? I
Yeah,
guess.
at
Yeah.
Sokka's house. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. You actually were one of my go-to and favorite guests for this season. So I'm happy you joined me today. And yeah, so actually, I wanted to talk to you about something very specific because that's very related to your music, and I really enjoy this aspect of your production. So basically, one of the things that I love the most about your music is, and actually what I think that makes you stand out from the others, in my opinion, is your ability to create such unique rhythms with your tonal elements that could be either synths or basses. So my first question is, how do you go? What's your specific approach when it comes to creating these rhythms with your bass and synths?
I think most times I open up a project, I think it all starts with the metronome, which is I mean, obvious to some, but some people leave it off for a long time. That's the very first thing I do is I turn on the click, and kind of put myself into a space of thinking where it's just blank. And as I'm listening to, say, I want to make a 140 song or I want to make a break song, I'll go to that BPM level, whether that's 140 or, going up to 170, whatever it is. I'll start there and then I just close my eyes and start, letting my own brain kind of come up with these things, and usually it is a rhythm first, like whenever I'm designing, I'll start with the rhythm. I won't care about the pitch of it. I can always do that in post. I just want the groove, especially for music that I feel like my fans are most common with is like very bouncy, kind of trappy stuff,
Yeah,
for the most part. So, like I said, I'll just sit there with the metronome, find myself a good rhythm. A lot of beatboxing comes into play, like mouthing elements, certain things, and then once kind of the Pandora's box opens as far as like that creativity starts flowing, I
yeah,
can't really do much to stop it. But yeah, I really think one of the core elements of what I do is the rhythmic element. And one of my friends, when I was just starting producing, he was almost nagging me like, your sounds are cool, but they're not jumbled correctly. Like you need that bounce, or you need, like I like moving to certain
yeah,
noises. And
yeah,
so when I started thinking about that, I was like, okay, instead of trying to flex too hard on like the sound design elements and do more long form bass, a lot of my stuff is shortened and cut out and very quick and bouncy because
yeah,
honestly, when I'm making a tune as well, I'm like dancing. I'm sitting behind the laptop or computer and I'm just trying to dance and make sure that, whoever I'm going to play it for is going to be kind of moving the same way.
yeah.
Um,
Do you happen
so
to actually like record yourself like singing a melody and then yeah, yeah,
all the time, all in like, I'll try to be really specific with it in my phone notes or whatever and be like, okay, the bass is in freaking E and it's gonna go womp 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 womp, and then like I'll be like, but then I need a top freaking percussion element going womp, like
yeah,
my
exactly,
my
exactly.
my my phone notes are so funny and like sometimes I'm so embarrassed to just go through them like everybody is, but
No, actually, I think that's like, first off, it's very smart because maybe you're even like away from your computer and you need to like put down somewhere that melody. You need to actually write
yeah.
that in a way. But also like, so do you actually ever start, because like you told me that you have your metronome on. So do you actually start from the melody itself sometimes, since you already have that like tempo going, right?
Right. So there are two ways that can open up my creativity. It's like starting with a metronome, and that's mostly if I'm going to start with writing the drop first,
Yeah.
right? The metronome bass starting off like that is usually like I want to get straight to like the main part of the song. Um, but your brain can conjure up like a melody someday. Like I have sang in tons of melodies, and they're super important to me because when they come in out of nowhere, out of the ether, you really have to pay attention to that. I think it's, in my opinion, like just creativity kind of speaking to you. And
Yeah, sure.
if you don't have your laptop right then and there, please, sing it in. But yeah, so like other songs like um a lot of mine with longer intros, those
Yeah,
were completely written like left to right, solely on the basis of melody.
yeah,
And then, you got to figure out how am I going to blend that into a heavier type of drop. So there's two ways. Yeah, like, definitely my more atonal stuff starts with a metronome, and then my more grandiose, long intro, epic, whatever, that will start just completely with a
yeah,
patch
yeah,
in the melody and just trying to like get into the
yeah.
groove of it that way. But
Yeah, this actually leads me to like the second question, because like there are many ways, to create that bounciness, especially if we're talking about these sort of, as you call, the atonal songs, right? There are just like simply the classic rules of swing or velocity just to create that bounce, but also there are some very nice plugins, that third-party plugins, that actually help you enhance that bounce. That could be, I can think of Shaperbox, I can think of Tornado by Sugar Bytes, but also like, do you actually happen to use sequencing plugins to create that bounciness effect just in the box, or do you actually write the MIDI and then just go from there?
a lot more recently, I mean, I used to be, I would print a lot of my sound design into audio and
Yeah,
manually move it around, and that creates a lot of happy accidents. But I think now I'm going for more control, especially like the older I get and the more I keep producing, you can start actually creating what's in your head a lot
yeah,
easier.
sure,
Um, and so, yeah, like I won't even use really outside of something like Serum or Massive for the movement. I'll do it directly in the LFOs, or,
nice,
you know, some LFOs will be going to cutoff, some LFOs will going to amplitude, some will be going to distortion or whatever, and just
yeah,
getting different, for different parts like that. And then LFO tool,
yeah,
whenever I do have an element that I've resampled or I've ran it through granulator, but I want the same exact LFO that was in Serum, I'll just use
yeah,
LFO because they're made by Xfer, so they have very similar filters and their
yeah,
algorithms and stuff. So when
yeah,
it's all working together cohesively like that, you can
yeah,
take basically the same movement from your patch in Serum and then just add it onto an audio.
yeah,
Uh, so that's usually what I do when I'm going for movement, especially like the wonky stuff. Uh,
true,
it's all
true.
LFO based, you know.
And also I was like doing something that I got from like a few years ago from a Leotrix video, where I actually map different LFOs, but they almost like look the same. It's just like the bend of the curve, tiny different from multiple parameters. Like for example, one controlling the volume, one controlling the distortion level, one controlling the filter, just to have like the general shape the same, but just those tiny differences to enhance the flavor of the sound. And I don't know if that's
Absolutely.
something that you do, or something that you actually enjoy in your process, because like I feel that your process to make music and make sounds is very like human feeling. Like you actually follow the rhythm more than the actual like sound itself. It's gotta be, I guess it's gotta be something that you don't like. From what I get talking to you, you're not like the type of producers who like make a sound just for the sake of it. You make sounds just to put them in the right context, right? And
Yeah,
that's
everything
smart.
yeah, everything has its own life,
Yeah,
like every sound, everything is its own piece of the puzzle of a song.
yeah,
And I'm not just gonna sit like I used to, and I would pull my hair out because it was so frustrating, just like, oh, maybe hopefully if I keep grinding away at this and stretching the sound and distorting it, maybe I'll get
yeah,
something.
yeah,
But now I try to work a little bit more efficiently because I feel like when you're too stuck on something, you lose track of the initial intention of the project. So you want to be able to like move quickly through these moments,
absolutely.
especially if you're in another session with another artist. You don't want to be like, twiddling your thumbs going, oh, I don't know what to
Yeah,
make. Like, so it's really important to just like, yeah, make sure each sound is alive and like has its own character, and
yeah,
versus just like, oh, I'm gonna sound design. And there's
yeah,
different days for that, right? Like you can have your sound design days, but mostly when I'm working on a DAW, it's to finish a song. It's not to start one. It's to get it done in that time that I have. And so yeah, a lot of these things like doing the LFO tricks, that's such a big deal, is like lightly mapping some towards others. And Rift has been really cool for that as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Forgot to mention Rift. I mean, one of my favorite plugins, if
Same,
not my favorite.
same.
And it's just like the control with the filters. It's something that I wish Serum had, is like breading in the
Yeah,
filters and like panning, and then the feedback going into all that. And you can map a lot of things similarly to Serum inside of Rift. I think they
yeah,
go hand in hand.
yeah.
So I've been getting a lot of cool movement from there as well, and like especially in a harmonic setting, like trying
Yes,
to control all my harmonics in a way where it sounds like they're talking, or like you're saying, they feel alive. It's because I'm doing these slight imperfections, these human things to the
absolutely.
sounds, and that just it's been so much fun ever since I got Rift. You know what I mean?
Dude,
I'm sure a lot of us were stuck on like the same, what were we using, like Trash and things like that. It's such a nice plugin. Oh my God.
honestly, yeah, Rift for at least for me has been literally game changer. Rift is so on one hand so unique, but also it's so versatile. You can do like literally anything you want. It's like I almost feel that I could even just like drop a simple saw wave and just go from there and just make a crazy sound using Rift and put that in the right context. Rift is
Yep.
so good. So I guess
Yep.
that was that I guess that it's one of your favorite plugin. But if you had to mention either like another good plugin or just a plugin that you feel it's underrated for sound design and for this specific purpose, which means like giving character to your basses, what would you mention?
I mean, yeah, Rift is great. That's definitely up there. As far as plugins are concerned, like I'm very basic, and I was downloading so many plugins throughout the process of learning how to produce. And like FM8 was one of those ones that's like still super, super underrated
Yeah.
as far as just how many harmonics you can add to a single
And
signal.
it's crazy because FM8, it's like $10 now, literally
Yeah,
10
it's
bucks.
it's insane. And so it's like going back and remembering that, it's nice to have those in your arsenal. And I think a lot of people definitely forget. And Serum, or staring at the same UI of anything. Like I got bored of Massive. I
Yeah.
was originally only using Massive for basses and stuff like that. But your brain almost gets tired of looking at the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
And so as long as you can switch it up, like Operator inside of Ableton is just cracked, like as far as drawing in your own harmonics, and adding a bunch of coarse pitch to each layer. Like there's so much versatility and things like that that just seem to go unnoticed. I mean, I have a lot of friends that would like say hell no, like we all use Operator, but it's one of those ones I kind of keep on the back burner. And those are my favorite types of plugins, the ones that you forget about and like you pull them up and you're like, oh, it's a
Yeah.
whole new look.
Yeah.
And I think even when you're staring at a plugin that you're not used to, you start doing things you don't normally do. You're not any longer in that rhythm of repeating yourself. And you can find really cool things just on the UI. And then there's, the sign plant plugin, which is just like
Oh,
a goofy plugin, but they're coming out with like a new version that just looks insane.
I saw that.
And those plugins are the ones that you make a bunch of happy accidents, and that's why they're kind of also hard to use, because you can't get out, like we were saying earlier, like what's exactly on your brain. This is more of like a creative plugin.
Yeah, sure.
Um, and then underrated still LFO tool. Like not, I see a lot of people using volume shaper and stuff like that. But LFO tool has insane filters, and like if you want to talk about like adding a comb filter to something with a
Yeah,
perfect movement, oh my gosh, they have like amazing flangers in there.
true.
It's a really cool outside plugin, and it's like $40. Um, and it's definitely helped a lot with my sound design, especially in the early days when I couldn't make like metallic sounding
Yeah.
things. I would just open up LFO tool and throw on a flanger and dial it in from there. So
I,
yeah,
I
I mean a lot. Go on. Sorry.
I wanted to say that, like, I feel that Alpha tool to this day, and people think that Alpha tool is just like, an LFO to control volume or panning, because like,
Right.
the feature to, add like a filter is like on top left, I guess. I remember. Yeah. And people
Mhm.
maybe are just used to create the shape, and then because I think it's automatically assigned to the volume at first
Mhm.
when you just like load it. So people, I think,
Yeah.
that don't actually know that.
Yeah.
But I 100% agree with you. Like there are literally all the filters inside Serum. in Alpha tools because they're both from Xfer. So yeah, absolutely agree with you. What were you saying about
Yeah.
before?
That's pretty much it. I mean, as far as I'm pretty simple as far as what I use to produce. Like I still use CRM
Yeah.
mostly for everything because I just got into the drawing harmonics side of CRM,
Oh yeah.
which, you open up your wavetable and I'll just start with a saw wave almost every time I start a song just to like have as many harmonics as
Yeah.
possible to start with and then kind of do subtractive synthesis from there. So yeah, like lately, one of my favorite things to do is just open up that saw wave initial patch, and then it'll give you, or it'll give you all of your different
Yeah.
harmonics ranging from
Yeah,
your
exactly.
fundamental all the way down. And then you can start taking some out, or you can start really boosting some. And then when you go into post production and doing all your distortion, those harmonics start reacting with that
Yeah.
wavetable in a really new way, especially like you would know running a super high harmonic saw wave through Rift will start creating the most insane little textures and overtones that you
Absolutely.
wouldn't get prior.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
just yeah.
I wanted to suggest you a plugin. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's very versatile. And I don't even know how to describe that, but it's literally like 15 bucks. It's called Spec Ops by Plugin Alliance. You can run distortion filters, like, and even the presets are insane to create textures from like a simple sound. So if you ever want to have a look at that, it's super, super nice, super, super interesting. But yeah, all of that to actually move to the another question that because like you told me that your sound changed a lot, especially discovering new plugins, discovering smarter ways to make music and to actually create a song. So my question is like more of a general one, and is what would you consider, in your opinion, your most like sonically skilled song you ever made, and like why?
It's between two. One is Bloom.
Oh,
I
I
made
love
this
that.
song like 6 years, 7 years ago. And it was one of those ones that like it was the first track where I knew the mixdown was finally like a commercial level mixdown. Everything just came together perfectly, and the sound design on it was just so unique. And it's one of those tracks that I've beat myself up over for years because I feel like I've never been able to outdo that track in a way. So to me, sonically, that song is just, I mean, the way it was crafted, the way it came together, it was basically, I woke up in the morning and I heard the chord progression, I heard the melody, and I heard the drop, and I was like, I'm gonna try my hardest to make this come out. And it came out exactly like the way it was in my head. And I don't know, I've just been so proud of that one. But as far as like recently, I think uh, the hardest track to make was this song called Aluminum. And
Love that.
the reason why that song is so impressive to me is just because I know a lot of producers out there have tried to like use sine waves, distort them, harmonics on top of sine waves, make it loud enough to be playable. It's really hard because those sine waves start phasing and you run into a lot
Yeah,
of muddiness. And this is a song I got to get to a pretty loud and clean level with all of those sine wave layers. And then the second drop is just this super strange triplet groove with just some really curious sound design. And when I was making it, I was just sitting there going, "Holy shit! Like, what is this?" And so yeah, that song is like one that still impresses me, and I love to play it. It's definitely weird on the dance floor. People are like, "What this?" It's not like it's more of something you'd hear in a crowd and just not move. You kind of want to like sit still and just listen to what's going on
yeah,
versus like jump up and down
yeah.
and go crazy. And I avoided playing it for so long because I never got that full crowd bouncing reaction. But I think it's one of those ones that I put back in my set just because it's like, no, this is a lot of who I am. And
Yeah,
some songs you're not supposed to like jump around to. And
true. Like I think of like many artists who also have like those jump bangers, but also like if I think of like for example Eprom or G Jones, they have many songs that are meant to be listened live rather than just to dance to. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. And I
exactly. And
agree with
I think
you.
a lot of producers get, I mean, I'm guilty of it all the time of like writing a song specifically to make the dance floor move. I mean, it makes sense. We're in electronic dance music. Like
True.
that's what we
Yeah.
do. However, I think with the scope of just the talent and where things are going, and guys, you're exactly right. Like G Jones and EPROM, or even looking at European styles like real drum and bass where
Oh yeah.
they're not going to be playing jump up like in their whole set. They'll have like a 10-minute segment of jump up, and then they'll go into some like R&B, influence rollers
Yeah.
that just
Yeah.
you're just supposed to like kind of listen and nod and
Yeah.
pace yourself in a way. So yeah, I think that's pretty important. But yeah, Aluminum and Bloom, those are my two, I think,
Nice.
sonically
Nice.
favorite songs.
Like Bloom is probably my favorite song from yours, so I'm happy that you picked that as one of your most like complex songs. But
Definitely.
like speaking about also, I wanted to like have the final question similar to every episode, and I'm generally asking the guests three songs that, in their opinion, are crazy. That could be in terms of sound design, in terms of arrangement, in terms of mixing and mastering. So like, which songs would you pick?
So it's a bummer that they're not working together anymore, but there was this duo called Echo, and they make some of the most emotive, just I don't know, there's so much feeling inside their music, and then the sound design to coincide with that is very unique. And the way that they're able to blend organic elements with
Oh,
digital elements is just beautiful. So there's this song by Echo, which is Eckle is their group name.
I'm
And
typing that.
the song is called Clandestine.
Okay.
And I mean, they have so many other ones like Pearl Jigsaw is another great song. But it's just a journey from start to finish, their arrangement is next to none, and I feel like not enough people really focus on arrangement these days. It's really cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And this song has like five different songs built into it, and I love when a producer or a producer duo or whatever it is, a group is able to, you know, have that many different ideas and make it all come
Absolutely.
together in this glorious project. Whether it's 5 or 6 minutes long, I almost prefer that. It's definitely a nice journey. Another song on the opposite spectrum, uh, a song that I just think is a perfect banger is my boy Liney, like his
Oh
song
yeah.
Noxious.
Oh
And
yeah.
and that it's just like it's not out of this world. It's not crazy, but it's new and different and weird and simple. And I think like something on the opposite spectrum of having five songs into one song
Yeah.
and making it all complex like that, it's one fucking element
Yeah.
that you hear throughout most of the song. And like that one element just, it made everybody react the same
Yeah.
way. Just,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Being able to do that with one sound
Yeah.
is a feat in itself. So that's another one. And then my last one is Nova by Noisia and Camo and Crooked.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. I mean, we're
yeah,
going to the full, like, you know, the sound design perfection, I would say, like the perfect, that song is like perfect.
it is perfect. You know what I mean? And I was sitting like, because I had this question before, and I was thinking so hard, like, okay, what's my last one? I know I have these two, and I'm like, oh, duh, are you kidding me? I think it's the best sound design I've heard, and it's all saw wave based, which is
Yeah.
impressive. And then all the reverb throws and the drums and the mix down and just the whole song is
Yeah.
brilliant, start to finish. And obviously, it's like the legends that are Camo and Crooked and Noisia. Like how can you go wrong,
Oh,
in a way?
absolutely.
So yeah, it's just that's one of those songs that I don't reference, but I listen to and always go, oh, I still have a lot to learn. Like I have a lot of room to grow, and I think we all do. And that's just one of those songs. It's such a flex. It's like, all right, well, they won, you
Do
know?
you actually happen to have reference songs inside your project where you're making a song?
No, what I do is actually like I'll listen to my own music a bunch, all of my previous releases before I go into a writing session. And it's kind of like a way to correct my mistakes, or I'll start hearing
Okay.
things throughout all my different mix downs, and I'll through each listening session before I start producing, and I'll listen to my own stuff. I'm like, okay, wow, I could have definitely added more fills in this song, or I could have kind of toned down the white noise on this bass and leveled out the mix down and blah blah blah. So I'm constantly using myself to improve myself. When I start using references, I've noticed I'll take like I'm a very influenced person. So if I'm referencing too much, I'll start taking too much from that artist. And
Okay. I feel that.
I have I don't want to ever, it's like nothing's really original, but there are moments where I'm like, oh, I'll finish a project and go, God damn it, that's the groove from this song, like, or that's like the bass riff from this song. I can't release that anymore. Um, so like, yeah, I have reference just to be like loudness more than anything. Like,
Yeah.
how loud is this? Where are the drums hitting? Because as you know, like producing in this last decade, mix downs have changed so much. It used to be very
Oh yeah.
lazy.
Oh yeah.
Snares used to be way too loud, and then it kind of got like leveled again. And now we're going back to this like clipped, kind of
Yeah.
saturated, oversaturated sound. And so it's nice to know references, especially when you are playing your music with other people's music in your set. Um, you want
That's
it to
true. Yeah.
not take a dip in energy. You want it to have a similar palette to what you like playing that isn't yours. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think that's when it's like a good and smart time to reference is kind of when you're building a set and planning on making a song for your set. Um, but yeah, I mean, as far as I don't like to pull down tracks into my project. I'll just listen to them, like not even in Ableton. I'll just listen and then go back to my project. But yeah, I don't know.
That is very, very smart. Yeah, dude, like that was actually my final question. It's been super nice talking to you. I did really enjoy these 30 minutes, and I hope you did too. And dude, thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, dude, peace out.
Peace out. Thank you so much for having me. That was fun.